a lot of other sci-fi for me because they had a very realistic, modern representation of the military. SGU in particular had Chief of Staff of the Air Force on the show and things like that. And it sort of separated a little bit in the subsequent series, but I was curious in SGU how much the influence of having to represent military officers and work with military members, how that played off either in a military advisor capacity or whether it was ever a topic of how you modeled your performance.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Not only did we have military people train everyone at the beginning, plus everything from how people tied their shoes to how they wore their costume with Jamil for every scene. Prepared for every scene. And then also when I think it was best reflected when we shot in White Sands, season 1, Air Part 3, because we shot on the military base, and everyone was so incredibly welcoming and
Did you guys get like a helicopter ride the whole thing?
Yeah, like
they've always been very supportive of the SGU franchise, and the SG period. But they were. What
did you just forget the
You know what? Yes, I forgot the name of the show. From the get-go, that was always going to be a part of it. That's been, hand in hand from day one.
I just want to wrap up and say thank you, because as a member of the Armed Services, I always loved the representation that you all did in all the series.
What branch?
Air Force.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Hey guys.
Hey
Sean.
Hey, we missed you guys.
My previous owner.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just for David Lou, about the episode Epilogue. I think you were one of the few cast members we never saw you sort of aged in the future. I'm just wondering if those scenes, they just didn't have time to film or didn't have time to write it? Or...
I touched on it yesterday, but it was actually in the script. I'm going to hurt myself. They did makeup tests, and I have some funny pictures of me older. But in the end, I think they were just running short on time. So I kept waiting for them to shoot this one scene. It would have been a Kino scene of Eli, I think like 50 or something, talking to the Kino saying how he and Barnes actually got divorced and how it was hard on the kids. And it was really kind of touching, but at the end of the day, they just didn't have time for it. And it actually still bothers me to this day because I liked that it showed that maybe Eli never really got over Gin, and even though he met someone else, it really wasn't right because his soulmate died. So, but in the end, the episode was so amazing, it didn't really need to be in. Because of these guys.
Thanks.
Where's my voice?
Got the shirt.
Nice.
Wow.
There was, at other conventions, it was pointed out that Jim Neal was the most different from Greer in actuality when you look at Jim Neal, and he's a lot different than Greer. And after meeting him, I agree, but after this brief interlude here with Lou, I gotta ask everybody, is it really he's the most different, or is Lou really different than
No, I always thought Louis. I mean, because Jamil can be, just like Jamil, and then he also can be a really soulful, like one-on-one chatter. But
So you're just basically saying I can't be soulful?
no, I'm saying you don't have a soul. No, I'm saying that. No, Young is a really tough cookie to crack. And get the video, so one day, whoa!
You gotta answer the question.
Now, are you leaving that video right now?
You should have seen him at the bar last night.
As you were, soldier.
You'd be having a conversation, all of a sudden you'd see somebody run in, and you'd just run out and take a picture.
I got something.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna move everything. Just sign your bike.
We're done. There's time.
I missed you, Louis.
I got two small questions. Hope they won't take long. One is, why did they stop doing the keynote videos right in season 2? Because those were really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, the webisodes?
Yeah, web episodes.
I don't know. They just stopped. We shot so many of them. We shot most of them in like the course of 3 days, and they just spread them out.
From what I understand, it was time and budget. Because Ivan Bartok, who directed them all, he was willing to go. And we did a lot of, I think what happened is, because we weren't doing those, there was a lot of special features for the season 2 DVDs. But yeah, we were gung-ho to do them. We really liked just kind of these in-between bookmarks between episodes of kind of behind the day in the life style stuff. But
I like the original idea. We never really got around to doing it, but when we first started rehearsing the show, when they were talking about the keynotes, they said it would tie into the show more. Like in the show, you'd see somebody in the background walking, and you'd see him fall down, and you would have no idea what that was. And then you'd watch a webisode and see like Scott setting up a prank, like with a wire or something. And they were going to tie it in more, but in the end, they just kind of became standalones. I don't know, that's part of the reason I wanted to continue the blog. Eli's blog, I don't know if any of you guys ever saw it. I actually wrote all of those. And because we didn't get to do the webisodes more, I kind of took up the mantle of wanting to continue the side stories of it a little bit. I was hoping that if we went season 3, we would have done more.
Yeah, I guess I was really upset that they did the keynote of explaining time.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of an insult to the audience. It was just like, you know, if you do the math, you can get that they're in a continual loop. And having this keynote that kind of explained it all was kind of like.
Then again, I got, what, 6 phone calls from cast members going, what did I just read? After time, a lot of people called me and were like, explain it, David.
Yeah. I called Calamus in the makeup chair while I was reading. We're doing the episode before. I'm like, yeah, we're dead. We died. We're unemployed, so start auditioning. It's true, I did. He was so pissed at me after. He's like, did you read the full episode? I'm like, no, I got to the part where it said Volker dies. That's what I told you.
The purple dye one was fun.
That was a lot of fun to shoot. Oh my god.
When Calamus runs out and it goes over, it was just supposed to be us laughing and seeing, but then Haig Sutherland, who's just got the dry sense of humor, he blurts out what he's saying.
He goes, what did you guys do? And Haig goes, we turned them purple.
Yeah, it was supposed to just be, what did you guys do? End of keynote. But Haig says, we turned him purple. The laughing in that at the end of it is honestly, we broke scene. I was laughing so hard.
The two of us were just like, yeah, that's actual laughter. I forgot about that. We turned them purple. We had so much fun shooting the show because we're all just goofballs. They somehow hired a group of people who all have the same sick sense of humor.
Are you playing X's and O's, Louis? What are you doing?
Maybe.
No. Go ahead.
The second question is, he's kind of become a favorite character of mine in Lampus, which is Todd the Wraith. And I was thinking later on as I was watching the series, wouldn't it be interesting if they actually brought a group of Wraith on board Destiny, not through the communication, but actually to Destiny? How would the crew react to that? Would they just kill them all, or probably just keep it
Sushi. We'd be screwed, I would say. So would they, because there's not a lot of food to go around on that side of the universe. Well, there is now that we populated it. Never mind.
Louis and I are like, well, what is he talking about?
Have you seen Hellboy?
Yes.
Have you seen Hellboy 2?
No.
There you go. The elves in Hellboy always kind of looked like the Wraith. It freaks me out a lot. I kept waiting for them to be like. The bad guys in Atlantis were forget it.
We'll talk If you were on Stargate, you'd be at DragonCon anyway, right?
Yeah.
I always wanted to go to Comic-Con, and I just never had the time or the money for most of the time I lived in LA. And my first time getting to go was with the show, and everyone's like, oh, you're just an actor. I'm like, do you have any idea how long I've waited to come here? But it ruined it for me, because now that I've been on this side, it just, I feel fake by walking over there. I would totally be dressing up. I'd be wearing a slave layout.
So are you going to be in the audience for this afternoon's panel?
No, they have us so tight. I think I'm signing autographs until Friday. Like, Friday's a long day. Although, you know, I ran into Sean there. The first year at Comic-Con, Brian, myself, we waited in line for the True Blood panel. You know, nobody knew who we were.
Is there anything Indiana Jones related at Dragon Con?
Yeah, there's an Indiana walking around.
Shut the front door.
There's several. Yeah, and he's outside. I don't know where he is.
That's where I would go see.
I'll take a picture and tweet it to you. How's that?
Wait, which, as he dressed up as Crystal Skull Indy? Because screw
David, can I have that picture from last night, please?
Oh, that sounds scandalous.
We got a picture of a guy at a club last night with his shirt off and a tattoo of Kurt Russell on his boob. It's pretty good. I got it. Just pass it around. Hold on, I learned my lesson. Last year I did a TV show where I had to be in drag and I looked like a damn good woman. And before it aired, I'm like, Lou, look at this picture of me dressed as a woman. And he took it, and I mean, first he turned my language into like Czechoslovakian. And then he emailed himself the photo, and he's been holding his ransom.
Yeah, but you got
At least you got David here this year if he changes it to Czech.
You made a lovely
I'm usually the one. Anytime anyone leaves their phone out, they deserve it. I always change it. If I can, I try to change it to like Chinese or something so you can't even figure it out. But you got me back. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Is this the most interactive panel you've ever had?
It's going to take forever, so maybe we should just move on. If you follow me on Twitter, at Patrick Gilmore, I'll tweet it at the end of this.
I hope you get a really weird text message. Yes.
I gotta come over there.
Hilo ride back from White Sands?
Tell us the story of the helicopter ride? Well, it was actually really cool. It's not an interesting story, so it's fine.
I've never heard it.
Well, it was just really cool because the place that we shot, like the aerials of it, they essentially had to fly us out to the middle of the dunes, drop us off, and leave us. There was no camera crews anywhere because it was such a huge, wide aerial shot that we had to be alone. It was kind of confusing. I think they gave Brian a walkie-talkie and they said just start walking along the dunes.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just sitting there, just chatting away, just like in the middle of nowhere. We're like, well, I hope they come back. It was so funny too, because the military people at White Sands, when they first dropped us off, so they took us in a huge helicopter, which was like the coolest experience ever, and I was totally pretending I was in Halo. But the first thing they said was, don't look west. And we're like, what? And like, just whatever you do when we're up there, don't look west.
Why?
Of course I had to look west. I was like waiting to see the shit from Flight of the Navigator or something. There's nothing there. But they just dropped us off. We wandered for like an hour and a half in 117-degree heat.
Oh my God.
Actually, Robert Carlyle printed up shirts for all of us that just say 117 because it was deathly hot. And then they came and picked us up and we went back. But it was one of the coolest experiences of my life, actually. Because I always respect the military, and I was actually thinking of going into the military when I was in high school. So it's kind of, I got to experience it. No?
I wouldn't have
Excuse me.
Department, of course.
Brad Wright during weapons training.
Right.
We trained on 4 different guns, and when I was finishing firing the assault rifle, he came up to me and said, don't ever look that cool shooting an assault rifle again. Civilian. I was like, yeah. And then they never ever gave me a gun. I still, that was my dream for what would have been the first episode back of season 3. I can't believe I'm telling this story. I told Brad Wright, I'm like, can I pitch you an idea? It's like everyone wakes up like 5 years later or something like that, and they're like, where's Eli? Where's Eli? And they come into a room and I'm just like shirtless doing pull-ups. Assault rifle and a patch. I'm like, it's been a long 5 years. really was a great dynamic. Because the room was disgusting. I'm still pissed that I didn't get a real room, too. Everyone like has quarters, and they're like, we're putting you in the kino room.
Oh yeah, and you had the little
closet?
screen caps of all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.